Welcome to Best Coast Guild Ball. My name is Jacob, and please join me on my journey to improving my play by analyzing games. For this first episode, I'll be playing Fish, facing off against the Union, coached by Zach. Going through the terrain on the table, starting from the top, we have an obstruction, then towards the center line, a forest, then two obstructions, and finally, at the bottom of the screen, we have some fast ground. After selecting plot cards, I lose the die roll to go first, and Zach elects to receive. I elect to take Corsair and Tentacles as my captain and mascot, and Zach takes Brisket and Pride. Zach drafts Benediction, and I draft Hag. He drafts Mist, and I draft Sakana. He drafts Gutter, and I draft Kraken. He drafts Harry, and I draft Vet Siren. My deployment, going from the top of the screen down, is Sakana, Tentacles, Hag, Vet Siren, Kraken, and Corsair. I'm electing to kick with Veteran Siren. Zach deploys from the top of the screen Mist, Harry, Gutter, Brisket, Benediction, and Pride. Given Zach is deployed heavily on one side of the pitch, I opt to have Vet Siren move towards the other side and kick further that direction, careful to keep her within 4 inches of Kraken for the defensive bonus. The kick scatters 4 inches to the 5, which I happily keep. Turn 1, Benediction is allocated 1 influence, Mist gets 4, Harry gets 1, Gutter gets 1, and Brisket gets 4. I give Sakana 2 influence, Kraken 1 influence, Corsair 5 influence, Veteran Siren 4 influence, Tentacles and Hag both get none. First activation, Pride moves up, staying within goal defense range. Vet Siren activates next, sprints up to grab the ball, coming back as far as she can, and then puts up Dread Gaze and kicks to space. She can't pass to anybody, so is forced to kick to space. The kick scatter lands on Kraken successfully, though. Benediction uses Braced and walks up.
Unfortunately, Kraken can't get within the 4 inches to give the defensive boost to Vet Siren. I debate using the pass dodge, but opt to just walk up anyway, pass to Corsair, and keep the momentum. Kraken then walks as close as possible towards Vet Siren. Harry then activates and walks up, and then drops a Molotov in the middle of the table. I debate going for a goal run this turn with Sakana, but with Pride, I'm not sure I have enough distance and line to get it, so I'm going to opt to defend the ball. Instead, Corsair sprints up, passes the ball to Hag, and then attempts to use drag or harpoon on Harry, which misses. Mist then activates, uses the free Shadowlike from being within 6 inches of Brisket, buys an Acrobatics, drops a Smoke Cloud, and then sprints up around the top of the forest. Mist is now far enough forward that I begin to formulate a plan to generate momentum by punching Mist repeatedly. She's within 4 of Corsair, so Hag activates, Shadowlikes towards Mist, drops the ball on Sakana, uses her free character play to Fisher Reel Corsair to engage, and then attempts to walk in such a way that she can use Tagalong to pull Tentacles forward, but doesn't have the line to do so well. So, doesn't. Gutter sprints forward into the forest. Tentacles walks forward and engages Mist. Brisket sprints forward. Sakana walks up and engages Mist and attacks. The first attack gets 3 hits, and he chooses a momentous one with the weak point. The second attack hits, and I choose a momentous dodge, staying within cover. We reach the turn boundary. It is +3 momentum to me. I play Keep Your Chin Up. Zach plays Seize the Initiative. For my dodge from Seize the Initiative, I contemplate taking Sakana forward for a goal run, but instead opt to bring Vet Siren towards Kraken to get her the defense bonus. Mist then dodges away but stays engaging Sakana. For my allocation, I give 6 to Corsair, 0 to Tentacles, 0 to Hag, 2 to Sakana, 2 to Kraken, and 2 to Vet Siren. Zach gives Harry 2, Benediction 0, Pride 0, Mist gets 4, Gutter gets 4, and Brisket gets 5. I believe that's wrong. I begin by activating Corsair and walking him forward to engage Mist. The first attack gets 2 hits, and I knock Mist down momentously. The next attack gets 6 hits, and I choose the momentous 3 and a 1-inch push. Push him back towards Hag and the scrum forming. The next attack gets 1 hit, and I take 1 damage unmomentously. The next attack gets 3 hits, and I take the momentous 2 and a 1-inch push. Pushing into engagement with Hag. The next hit gets 7 hits, and I choose the momentous drag, targeting Gutter, and 2 damage. For the last attack, I get 2 hits and take out Mist, and then use Corsair's Legendary defensively to try and make sure I hold the ball. The score is now 2-0. Harry moves up to engage Corsair, staying out of melee with Hag. His first attack gets 4 net hits on Corsair, and he chooses the momentous double push. He then drops a Molotov, missing Sakana, but hitting Corsair and setting him on fire. I choose to activate Vet Siren, who walks up to engage Harry. Her first attack gets only 1 hit and chooses the momentous push, pushing him in to engage Hag. The second attack gets no successes. Gutter then activates and attacks Corsair. Corsair declares a counterattack. Gutter gets 1 hit and chooses the momentous 1, but unfortunately Corsair has Tough Hide, which negates that. Corsair's counterattack gets 3 hits and he chooses the knockdown. Gutter sacrifices a movement to stand and attacks Corsair again, getting 4 hits. choosing Knockdown, which clears Corsair's steady, and Gutter's final attack gets 1 net hit, which is 1 damage but is negated by Tough Hide. I try to see if I can get a line for Kraken to go engage Gutter, but unfortunately there's not enough distance. So Kraken then chooses to charge Harry instead. The attack gets 6 successes, and I choose a non-momentous 1 on the wrap, and then a momentous Release the Kraken for a 6-inch push, knockdown, and 3 damage. Benediction moves across the backfield. I again try and see if I can make a goal run this turn. But instead I opt to hold onto the ball and continue to work the scrum. Activate Hag. Hag Shadow Legs up and then walks to engage Gutter and Brisket, and then uses free Fisher's Reel to bring Kraken to engage Gutter. Pride moves across the field a little. Sakana activates, dropping the ball onto Corsair, and then walks around the back of the forming scrum to enter Tentacle's melee range, and then leave, triggering Tagalong, pulling Tentacles up to engage Gutter as well. Sakana then attacks Gutter, getting 3 hits, choosing a momentous 1 and a weak point. And then attacks again, getting 4 hits and choosing a momentous 1 and a weak point. Brisket then activates and uses her legendary to move next to Harry, dodging Harry back across the field. Clears conditions on Harry, and then walks to engage Sakana. Sakana declares a counterattack. Brisket attack has 1 success, and so chooses to dodge. Sakana counterattacks, getting 3 hits, and choosing to dodge into the forest to gain cover. Since Brisket dodged away from me, I didn't need to worry about her attacking Sakana anymore since she moved out of melee. So I wanted to engage to reduce Route 1's chances. Brisket then uses Route 1 and walks into the fire after hitting Corsair. She moves up and attacks Corsair and gets 2 hits, getting the momentous tackle dodge, which clears close control. Corsair counters and gets no successes. Brisket then gets 3 hits and chooses the momentous tackle dodge, and then spends 1 to clear the conditions she picked up walking into the fire. Tentacles moves up a little, and the turn ends with myself in the lead with 5 momentum. I play fullback, and Zach plays keep the ball moving. I elect to go first. I allocate 6 influence to Corsair, 2 to Sakana, 2 to Vet Siren, and 2 to Kraken. Hag and Tentacles get none. Mist returns to the pitch and is allocated 4. Benediction is allocated 2. Brisket is allocated 4. Harry is allocated 1. And Pride is allocated 1. We begin by activating Corsair. Corsair attacks Gutter, getting 3 hits and choosing the momentous knockdown. Swings again, getting 5 hits, choosing the momentous 3 and the 1-inch push, and pushes Gutter out of the cover of the forest. The next attack gets 7 hits, selecting a momentous 3 and a 1-inch push and a non-momentous 2. And again attacks, getting 7 hits, taking again the momentous 3 with a 1-inch push and a non-momentous 2, which takes Gutter out, putting the score at 4-0. Corsair then attacks Brisket, getting 1 hit and choosing to tackle. We then pass to Hag, missing. It scatters 5 inches to the fore, which will still allow her to intercept. Harry then activates, walks up, and drops a Molotov in the middle of the scrum. The Molotov misses Hag and Sakana, but hits Kraken. That Siren moves round the back of the scrum, puts up Dread Gaze, staying within 4 of Kraken. Benediction moves up, pays 2 to attack Hag, clearing fear, gets 2 hits, and selects the Momentous Double Push. Hag chooses to counterattack this next attack. Benediction gets 3 hits and puts up the Momentous Braced, shutting down Hag's counterattack. Hag Shadow Likes and moves back around the back of the scrum. She legendaries for 4 damage, moving Vet Siren up to Brisket and Corsair over. Tentacles and Kraken move towards Brisket as well. Pride activates and puts up Predatory Gaze. Kraken walks over and attempts to get a line such that a release the Kraken will push Brisket off the edge of the pitch. Won't make the first one, but there's a chance if there's a wrap. The first attack gets 5 hits and chooses the Momentous Release the Kraken, and Brisket is pushed to max melee with Kraken, and Kraken attacks again, getting 6 hits, which unfortunately won't push Brisket off the edge of the pitch. But we take the Momentous Release the Kraken anyway and push her to the edge. And so we do 3 damage from the Momentous Release the Kraken, the 6-inch push, and then on the wrap do 1 point of damage in addition. The hope being maybe Sakana can get lucky and get the double push, double dodge on the charge. Brisket then activates, clears conditions, and sprints away. Sakana activates and was in melee with Harry. So, attacks. Harry declares a counter. Sakana gets 3 hits and dodges out of melee with Harry. Sakana walks back in to engage and attacks, getting 2 hits, choosing a Momentous weak point. Mist dodges, uses acrobatics, drops her cloud, and sprints to the middle of the field. Tentacles moves up to engage Harry. And the turn ends, and I'm leading by 3 momentum. For the plot cards, I play Go for the Knees, and Zach plays Hunker Down. I give the +1 tack to Sakana. For my allocation, I give 1 to Hag, 3 to Sakana, 4 to Corsair, 0 to Tentacles, 2 to Vet Siren, and 1 to Kraken. Zach gives 1 to Brisket, 1 to Pride, 3 to Benediction, 2 to Harry, and none to Gutter, who is returning to the pitch. We start with Hag's activation, who Shadow Likes over, passes the ball successfully to Corsair, uses her free character play to Fisherman's Reel, Kraken, up and over, to make sure there's less than a 30mm base width between him and Sakana. She then walks up behind Kraken, similarly making less than a 30mm base, creating a little cage around Corsair. Pride activates and puts up Predatory Gaze. Vet Siren moves up to engage Harry. Attacks Harry. Getting 4 hits, taking the Momentous Dread Gaze with a push dodge and pushing him back towards the scrum. And the next attack gets 3 hits, taking the Momentous Push Dodge. Pushing him into being engaged by Kraken. Harry then activates. Attempts to figure out an optimal place to put the Molotov. Decides to first try and goad Corsair. Which unfortunately misses. And then drops his Molotov on Tentacles and Sakana. And misses both. Kraken then activates and swings on Harry, getting 3 hits, choosing the Momentous Knockdown. Mist then Shadow Likes, uses Acrobatics, and then charges Hag, who defensive stance. Mist gets 4 hits and chooses to momentously double dodge away. Sakana activates and attacks Harry. The first attack gets 8 hits. Sakana chooses the non-momentous 2 with a weak point and a 2 on the wrap. The next attack gets 7 hits. So chooses a non-momentous 2 and a non-momentous 1. The third attack gets 6 hits and chooses to do a non-momentous 2 and a non-momentous 1 on the wrap. Benediction activates. And charges Hag. Or possibly just walks up and attacks Hag. Hag defensive stances, so Benediction only gets 3 hits and chooses the momentous double push, pushing her into the fire. He then attacks Kraken, getting 5 hits and choosing the momentous knockdown. The last attack gets 7 hits and chooses the 3 and a momentous push. Corsair activates, clears conditions on Kraken. Since he's on fire, he has to sprint to go engage Harry. His first attack gets 6 hits, so he chooses a momentous 3 and a 1-inch push and a non-momentous 1. The second attack gets 5 hits. He chooses the momentous 3 with a 1-inch push that takes Harry out, putting the score at 6-0. He then clears conditions on himself and passes to Sakana. We pause briefly to look up the rule on passes with forests. A model kicking from within a forest or kicking to a target spot or model in a forest suffers -1 die, though the penalty can only be suffered once, so if you are within a forest kicking to a spot in the forest, you only suffer -1 die. That resolved, we resume, and Corsair passes to Sakana. on a 2-dice pass and gets it. And the ball moves to Sakana. Brisket then activates and sprints up. Tentacles. Zoidberg's up. Gutter walks forward. The turn ends. We are tied on momentum. I play Grudge Match. Zach plays Midfield General. I choose to put Singled Out on Benediction. He puts it on Sakana. I think it's finally time for my goal run. So I start measuring out, and I can get Sakana to engage Pride, shutting down the countercharge and avoiding Brisket's melee. So my allocation is 4 to Sakana, 2 to Vet Siren, 0 to Hag, 0 to Tentacles, 1 to Kraken, and 3 to Corsair. Zach brings Harry back on. And gives 4 to Brisket, 3 to Benediction, none to Pride, 1 to Gutter, and 4 to Mist. So beginning with, Sakana has a 8-inch sprint, loses 2 inches for being in the forest, but gains 2 inches back from his From the Shadows trait. So he can just reach Pride. So he sprints up and attacks Pride, getting 1 hit and choosing a momentous dodge, but chooses to stay in place. Gets 3 hits on his second attack, choosing a momentous one and a weak point. Then he shoots on goal, bonus timing, rolls 3 dice and scores, putting the score at 10-0. Zach kicks off, and it goes 2 inches to the 4, landing on Gutter. At this point, I wrongly reapply Burning to Kraken and Corsair, thinking I did not clear them last turn, though I did. Gutter then walks up and passes to Mist, and misses, but going 1 to the 1, Mist intercepts the failed pass. Looking for the final takeout, I believe Brisket is my best chance. So Corsair spends 1 to clear conditions and sprints into the forest to engage Brisket. First attack gets 2 successes for the momentous knockdown. The next attack gets 4 successes for the non-momentous 3 damage. And the last attack gets 2 successes and chooses the non-momentous 2 damage. Mist moves up to the goal and shoots, scoring, putting the score at 10-4. Since all I need is one more takeout, I am kicking the ball away from where all the action is as far as possible, and it scatters off to the bottom of the field, safely away from everything. Hag then activates Shadowlikes, uses Free Fisherman's Reel to move Vet Siren closer to Brisket so that she can then Shadowlike in and not trigger unpredictable movement. Harry then activates and charges Vet Siren. Vet Siren defensive stances and is within 4 of Kraken, so his defense 6. Harry gets 2 successes and chooses the momentous double push. Kraken then activates, attacks Benediction, gets 1 hit, chooses the momentous knockdown, and then uses that momentum to clear conditions and walks around the forest. Well, into the forest. Pride scoots over. I'm checking Pride's countercharge line, though I needn't because he's engaged by Sakana, and move Kraken up to Tentacles up to engage Harry. Benediction activates and charges Kraken. Getting 5 hits and choosing the momentous knockdown. At this point, my plan is to actually go for killing Harry rather than Brisket, and I move up Vet Siren. She accidentally triggers Brisket's unpredictable movement needlessly, and Vet Siren then attacks Harry. She gets 1 hit and chooses the momentous push to push Harry back to be engaged by Corsair. And the next attack gets 3 hits, and she chooses the momentous push dodge. And I push Harry over to be engaged by Sakana. Brisket activates and clears conditions, and then makes her first attack on Sakana. She gets 1 hit and chooses a dodge. Sakana counterattacks and gets 2 hits and chooses to dodge over and confirm the engagement with Harry. Brisket walks up and attacks Sakana again, getting 1 hit, choosing 1 point of damage. And the last attack gets no successes. The turn ends. Unfortunately, I don't remember what the plot cards were, but I win initiative. With Harry set up there, I give 6 to Corsair, 4 to Vet Siren, 2 to Sakana, and none to Hag, Tentacles, or Kraken. Zach allocates, and we start the round with Corsair, who attacks Harry, getting 7 hits, choosing a Momentous 3 and a 1-inch push, and the Momentous knockdown. The next attack gets 9 hits, and it gets a Momentous 3 with a 1-inch push and a non-Momentous 3. And then the next attack kills Harry, ending the game 12-0. Things I thought went well this game. First was I felt I chose my targets well. I feel like I did a good job avoiding getting bogged down by Benediction and could focus more on taking out the squishier models in my opponent's list, primarily Gutter, Mist, and in part Brisket. This also includes realizing that Brisket was a lost cause to kill in the last turn of the game, and instead refocusing my efforts on taking out Harry. Second thing I thought I did well was hold on to the ball. I often like to go for an early goal when I play Corsair. The extra influence from that goal feels like a big advantage, but this match, holding on to the ball was probably the right move. Going for an early goal probably would have overextended a model, leading to not only giving up the ball and probably a retaliatory goal, but also possibly losing a model to a takeout. Things I need to focus and improve on. The first and most obvious one is not to accidentally reapply conditions I've already cleared to my models. But in addition, I needlessly pushed Brisket away, which ultimately cost me a takeout on her. I feel if I hadn't pushed her back, she likely could have easily been taken out either later that turn or at the beginning of the following turn, rather than having to go chasing through the forest after her and ultimately not taking her out and having no VPs to show for it. Also, while I didn't clock out, by the end of the game I was getting low on time. Playing a grindy Corsair list in this style means I do need to be on point in managing my time. So clock management needs to be something that's always in the back of my mind. Thank you for watching. Did you see anything you think I need to improve on? Do you see things you think I did particularly well? Please let me know, and once again, thank you.